Hi everyone, we are continuing our linear unit today. Today specifically we're going to talk about vertical and horizontal lines, and for that there's this poster and it is in your resources under the Unit 3 posters. It is Hoy and Vux. Those are short acronyms to help us remember the horizontal and vertical parts. Now, the word Hoy, H-O-Y, it starts with H. The word horizontal starts with H. So whenever I refer to Hoy, I'm talking about a horizontal line. The word vertical starts with a V. So whenever I'm referring to a vertical line, I'm going to use the Vux, V-U-X. So remember, vertical is your horizontal, vertical is your Vux and horizontal is your Hoy. All right, so H with H and V with V. So let's go see how this thing's going to work. Here is your worksheet for today, and I have that same Hoy and Vux information on this little card here, so we can look at it while we're doing this problem. On this it says, graph the equation, find the slope, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, domain, and range for each problem 1 through 4. Now I'm going to do the odd ones with you. 1, 3, 5, 7. You're going to do 2, 4, 6, 8. So the first equation is y equals -1. We are going to graph that. Now I know some of you are thinking, well, I'm just going to type that in my Desmos calculator and just go see what it looks like. And you can do that, but I'd rather you wait till after you graph it and then type it in to check your answer, because I want you to be able to do this by hand as well as with the graphing calculator. And actually, these are so easy, you're going to think, why do I even need the graphing calculator? Now, this equation is y equals -1. So over here in Hoy and Vux, remember that starts with y equals. I have H-O-Y, and I've got V-U-X. Do you see a y anywhere in V-U-X? No, I don't. Do you see a y in H-O-Y? Yes, because the y is the equation of a horizontal line. So let me go through the horizontal real quickly. If it's a horizontal line, meaning it's running left and right like this, the slope of any horizontal line, because it's a flat line, is 0. The equation of any horizontal line is simply y equals a number, like y equals 5 or y equals -3. If it's a vertical line, meaning it's going up and down, the slope is undefined, and there's the U to remind you that it's undefined. And since the last letter in this Vux is x, the equation of any vertical line is simply x equals a number. For example, x equals -3 or x equals 5. Now, some of you may not realize where horizontal came from, and you may be confused with the words horizontal and vertical as to which is which. Here's something that might help you. The word horizon. If you think about looking out at the ocean, maybe you're in a big boat in the ocean and you're looking out at the water, where the sky and the water comes together is called the horizon. So this line that is formed is a flat horizontal line. So whenever you think of horizon, it's this flat line out there between the sky and the water. Hence, horizontal lines are a flat line. So let me turn this back over to this side. So here's my horizontal line. So horizontal lines are going to be flat like this. Vertical lines go up and down. Okay, so now we know what the pieces are. The H just reminds us it's horizontal. 0 is your slope, and the equation is y equals a number. If it's a vertical line, the slope is undefined, and the equation is x equals a number. Okay, now these are very different than our normal linear equations that are y equals mx plus b. Normally we have an x term and then a number on the end, but there is no x term in the y equals, and this one doesn't even start with y equals. It's very strange because this is the one that has the undefined slope. So I can't even have anything for the slope here. So this is literally just x equals a number. Very strange equations. These are the strange cases. But they're really, really easy to do. So back to number 1. We said that this one is y equals -1. So over here, I'm not going to pick Vux because there's no y in it, but I am going to pick the horizontal because it's Hoy and it's got a y in that. So this is y equals a number. So I know the equation is y equals a number. What we want to do is graph this. So we know it's going to be a horizontal line. I've always got that pictured. So go find y equals -1 on your graph. So where remember y is -1. So on the y-axis, go find the -1 and put a dot there. My line is going through that point right there. And I'm not going to draw a vertical line. I'm going to draw a horizontal line. So let me see if I can sketch this and hold it at the same time. So I'm going to draw this horizontal line that goes through that point. I know I'm drawing horizontal because it's y equals and y is Hoy for horizontal. So there's my horizontal line. I have graphed it without doing anything else but just knowing y is equal to -1. Okay. Now, we also wanted to find, what are we looking for? Slope. We want the x-intercept. We want the y-intercept. And we want the domain. And we want the range. Okay. Big D for domain, capital R for range. So these are all the things we're going to find after we graphed it. So now that we have the graph, this gets really easy. The slope Any flat line is 0. If you forget that, can you remember Hoy and go, oh yeah, there's a 0 in here. You might even want to write this on your paper. As soon as you see the y equals, this is a Hoy. Oops, H-O-Y. So as soon as I see y equals, I'm going to write Hoy because there's the y. The slope is 0, and the equation is y equals a number. So my slope is 0. My x-intercept, is it crossing the x-axis anywhere? Will it ever cross the x-axis? No. So is there an x-intercept? That would be none. The y-intercept, where is my line that I just graphed crossing the y-axis? Well, it's crossing right there at that point, which is -1. So x-intercept's none, y-intercept is -1. My domain, remember domain are the x numbers. I want to know all the x numbers being used in this graph. So if I come in from the right, does it stop here or does it keep going? There's an arrow on it, so it's going to keep going right forever, which means I'm going to use all the x numbers to the right forever. Coming from the left, does it also have an arrow here? Yes, it's going to go left forever. So that means I'm going to use all the x numbers to the right, all of the x numbers to the left, which means it's all real numbers. So we can do the double R that we learned. That means all real numbers. It's literally the words all real numbers. I'm going to write that on this one just because. All real numbers. Okay, so that's my domain, is all real numbers. The range, if I come in from the top, does it ever go above -1? No. If I come in from the bottom, does it ever go below -1? No. What is the only y number that's being used? -1. So my range is just the set whose members are -1. Okay? So that's how quick and easy these are to do once you get the little graph done. So let's go do number 3. This equation starts with x equals. Is that Hoy with a y on the end or Vux with an x on the end? Yes, you're right. This is Vux, V-U-X. Which means, is it a horizontal or a vertical line? Yes, this is going to be a vertical line. So when I sketch it, I'm going to sketch a vertical line. The slope is going to be undefined, and the equation starts with x equals a number. There it is right there. So go find x equals -3 on the graph. Now we are on the x-axis, right? Not the y-axis. X is -3. So go find x, -3, which is right there. Put a dot on it. My line goes through that point. Am I going to draw a vertical line this time? Yes. So I'm going to draw a little vertical line that goes through that. It's got arrows going up. It's got arrows going down. So there's my line. We want to find slope. We want to find the x-intercept. We want to find the y-intercept. Whoops. Domain and range. Okay. Slope. What is the slope of any vertical line? Starts with a U, undefined. We could also sing the song if you want me to. 0 positive, undefined, negative, 0 positive. Y'all get the idea. But Hoy and Vux is another way to do that without doing the slope song. X-intercept. Is it crossing my x-axis? Yes, it is. It's intersecting it right there at -3. So my x-intercept is -3. Y-intercept. Is it crossing my y-axis? No. Will it ever cross my y-axis? No. Those are parallel lines. They will never intersect. So this is none. It will never cross the y-axis. So there's no point where it's intersecting. Domain. Now if I come in from the right, does my line ever go to the right of -3? No. If I come in from the left, does it ever go to the left of -3? No. So the only number that's being used in my domain is -3. So my domain is the single point, the set whose members are -3. Range, on the other hand, these are my y numbers. So now I'm looking at the y numbers. If I come down from the top, it doesn't stop there. It's got an arrow, so it's going to go up forever. If I come in from the bottom, it doesn't stop here. It's got an arrow. It's going to go down forever. So this means I'm going to use all my y numbers both directions forever and ever. So that is your all real numbers. Okay, so you can use the words all real numbers. You can use infinity symbols. There's all sorts of ways that you can write that. So there's number 1 and number 2. 1 and 3. Number 5. This time we're looking again for the slope, the equation, the x-intercept, y-intercept, domain, and range. But this time they give me the picture but not the equation, so we're going to write the equation. So as soon as you see this flat line, you should think of horizon, and that tells you it's horizontal. So is that Hoy or Vux? Horizon, horizontal starts with an H, so this is H-O-Y, Hoy. My equation starts with what letter? Yes, y equals a number. So down here where the equation is, it's going to be y equals some number. Let's go look on the y-axis and see what number it's equal to. -1, -2, -3, it's crossing -4. So y equals -4. Boom, right there. The slope. What's the slope of a flat line? It's right there in the middle of Hoy, 0. So the slope of my flat horizontal line is 0. Then we needed to find, let's see, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, domain, and range. Okay? X-intercept, follow the x-axis. Is it going to cross the x-axis? No, it will never cross it because these two lines are parallel. It is parallel to the x-axis, so they will never intersect, so the x-intercept is none. My y-intercept, is it crossing the y-axis? Yes, it's crossing it right there at that point. So that single point right there is the y-intercept, and that is -4. So this is going to be -4. And then the domain. Domain are x numbers. So when I come in from the left, it doesn't stop there because there's an arrow and it's going to go right forever. If I come in from, I'm sorry, I said the right. So if I come in from the right, it doesn't stop there. It's got an arrow that goes on forever. If I come in from the left, it does not stop there. It's got an arrow, so it's going to go left forever. So my domain is going to have arrows both directions. It's going to go both directions forever and ever. So my domain is all real numbers, or that infinity symbol, or the words all real numbers. Range, on the other hand, it never goes above that -4. It never goes below -4. So the only number that's being used is that number -4. So this is my set whose members are a -4. Now, one thing they did not ask us to do, but I want to show this just because it's really interesting to see. On this one, if you were to go look at the table of this particular thing, y is equal to -1. If you looked at the table, the y would be -1, -1, -1, -1. Forevermore, the y's will always be -1 because the equation simply says y equals -1. Your x numbers could be -2, -1, 0, 1. Doesn't matter what the x numbers are, the y numbers are always -1 because that's what this graph looks like. If I went to the point -2, -1, I would go over -2 and down -1. I'm on that graph. If I did -1, -1, I go left 1 and down 1. I'm on that graph. 0, -1, I run 0 and jump down. I'm on the graph. 1, -1, if I run over to 1 and go down to -1, I'm on the graph. No matter what, my y numbers are always a -1. No matter what the x numbers that I pick, they're going to have the y number as a -1. So there's your table. So when it says y equals -1, your table literally is just y's are all -1. This one, the equation is x equals -3. So if I were to make a table, are the x's or the y's going to be -3? Yes, the x's are all -3. -3, -3, -3. No matter how far I scroll up or down the table, it's always -3. Doesn't matter what your y numbers are, the x numbers are always -3. If you were to plot this point, -3, 1, that means I run over -3 and jump up to 1. If I were to plot -3, 2, I run over to -3 and jump up to 2, and I'm on that line. If I do -3, 3, I run over -3 and jump up to 3. So no matter what, I will always be on that line because my x's are always -3. X equals -3 is the equation. Your table, x's are always -3. This last one down here that we just did, this was y's are equal -4. So if I were to make a table out of this, is it the x's or y's that are -4? Yep, the y's are the -4. So if you were to go graph that equation and go look at its table, all the y's would be -4. No matter what the x's were, the y numbers will always be -4. Okay, so there's your 1, 3, and 5. I'm going to look at number 7 with you, and then you'll be on your own for the 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, number 7, this is a vertical line starting with a V, so this is the word Vux, V-U-X. So the slope is going to be what? Undefined. What does the equation start with? X equals a number. So down here for the equation, this is X equals a number. Now, what on the x-axis is my number? So here's the x-axis, and it is -4. So x equals -4. If you were to make a table, the whole x column would always be -4, -4, -4, -4. Slope. What is the slope of a vertical line? U, undefined. They also wanted us to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the domain, and the range. So on your paper, again, you're just writing each of these, like number 7, just write down the x-intercept, y-intercept, domain, range. On the other ones, you probably have to make a little sketch for, I guess that would be the first 4 where you're making the sketch. Here they've given you the sketch, so you can just write down the slope, the equation, x-intercept, y-intercept, domain, and range. X-intercept, is it crossing my x-axis? Yes, it's crossing right there at that point, -4. This point is the x-intercept. And they want to know what is that x number, and it is a -4. Y-intercept, is it ever crossing my y-axis? No. Will it ever cross my y-axis? No. They are parallel lines. They will never intersect. So there is no y-intercept. Domain. If I come in from the left, it never goes to the right of -4. If I come in from the left, it never goes to the left of -4. I don't know if I said that right. If I come in from the right, it never goes to the right. If I come in from the left, it never goes further than that. So my domain is simply that one number. Range, on the other hand, does it have arrows on top and arrows on bottom? So is it going to go up forever and down forever? Yes, so my range is all real numbers. Okay, so there's your horizontal and vertical lines there. Quick and easy. We'll keep practicing these, and we'll give you some more practice on them later this week. Here's the rest of this is review stuff. So number 9, when they ask for the rate of change. Now notice I tend to underline my keywords that they're looking for. So when you're taking tests and practicing, you need to highlight or underline your keywords. So rate of change is just another word for slope. So they've given you a table, and you've got several points in this table. An x and a y is one point on the line, an x and a y is another point, 0, 4.5 is another point, 1, and so forth. So all these are just points. I just need 2 points. I can hold up 2 fingers. I just need 2 points to use my slope formula. Y minus y over x minus x. Remember, I make parentheses, drop the y numbers on top, x numbers on bottom. Doesn't matter which 2 you want to use. I'm kind of thinking, since I don't like decimals, I may use the 2, 4 and the -2, 5. So here are my y numbers, a 5 and a 4. I would put them on top. I would put the same x numbers that go with them. I did 5 first, so I'm going to do the -2 first on bottom. And the 2 will go on this one. So -2, 2. So my 2 y numbers went on top, the 2 x numbers went on bottom. And then you just do that math and find your slope. Y-intercept. Now remember, on the y-intercept, you are looking for, the intercepts will always have a 0 in their ordered pair. So when you look at the table, do you see any point that has a 0 in it? Yes, there is. That 0, 4.5 has a 0 in that one. Oops, if I can hold this and do this at the same time. So this point right here is your intercept. If the number is in the y position, it is a y-intercept. If the 0 were over here and the number were on this side, then it would have been an x-intercept. But we're looking for the y-intercept, so this is indeed the y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 4.5. It is crossing the y-axis at a positive 4.5. The slope, if you were to go do that math on that slope and came out with a -1/4, you were correct. So now that I know the slope and the y-intercept, can I write the, now that I know the slope and the y-intercept, can I write the equation? Yes, those are the only 2 things I need to know to write the equation. Y equals -1/4 x plus 4.5. Because remember, the equations are always y equals mx plus b. You can see the slope, you can see the y-intercept. The number in front of the x is your slope, the number on the end is your y-intercept. So the slope number goes in front of the x, the y-intercept goes on the end. So there is your equation. Number 11, you're also looking for slope because they're asking you for rate of change. They give you 2 points. So again, y minus y over x minus x. Over here, this one they say find the slope and the y-intercept of the equation. Is this equation in y equals format? Yes. If it's in this format, can you pick out the slope and the y-intercept? Yes. The number in front of the number in front of the x is your slope. The number on the end is your y-intercept. So you can pick those pieces out and just put them on your paper. Let's see what other ones we have for review. Again, just looking at the picture, finding the x and y intercepts. Find the slope. Is this equation in y equals format? No, it is not in y equals, so you're going to have to solve for y. Remember how to do that? Get the y by itself. Get rid of the x term first. Come back and get rid of the -3 after that. Use that poster that's on your back wall that goes from standard to y equals. If you don't remember how to do that, you need to talk to me, email me, talk to me. Just basically email me and let me know, and we can set up a Zoom time and go over some of these. When you're reading this one, you're reading all the words and you're kind of zooming through, looking for things that look interesting, like an x-intercept or slope or whatever it is you're looking for. You see the words very directly. As soon as you see those words, you should underline them. You should be having bells going off, ding, 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 ding. You should see butterflies flying around your head. This is a proportion, a fraction equal to a fraction. So remember, you're going to cross multiply. See if you can remember how to set that up and do that. 10 is a challenge. Solve it. I want to see the work on your paper where you're doing all the whole, draw the line through the equal signs, simplify everything you can on the left-hand side before you start moving things around. Remember there's another slope one. Domain are your x numbers. You're picking out all the x numbers being used. Range are the y numbers, picking out all the y numbers. So a lot of this is just review stuff at this point on our linear things and knowing our vocab words. So go get those rules, see how you do. Make sure you take a picture of your work and attach it so that you got that along with the warm-ups. Remember that picture of where you're filling in all the parts of the picture, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, all that stuff. So make sure you are taking pictures of all that. Check the, the key at the end. Make sure that you got them right, because you need to know if you're getting these right or missing them. Bye, everybody.